Hello everyone. Imagine a moment when everything is falling apart, when all hope seems lost. Yet in that very moment, a spark ignites inside. That spark, it's hope. And that hope only grows because of struggle hope. It's a word we all know, a feeling we've all clung to. But I want us to see it not as a gentle wish or blind optimism, but as something forged, something earned. Because the truth is this: being hopeful is a function of struggle. Hope does not appear when life is easy. It doesn't grow in the light of comfort or certainty. No, hope rises in the dark. It begins when things are uncertain, painful, or unjust. It is not the denial of struggle, but the response to it. When we are tested by loss, by failure, by injustice, it is not despair that shapes us. It is the choice we make in that moment, the decision to get back up. The decision to believe that something better is still possible. That decision is hope. We are often taught to admire strength, but strength alone is not enough. Resilience built through our trials gives birth to hope. And with every setback, our ability to choose hope becomes stronger, not weaker. Because we've learned that while struggle may knock us down, it also reveals who we truly are. And let's be clear, hope is not passive. It is not a soft feeling that cushions us from pain. It is an act of defiance. It is saying, even now I believe. Even now I will keep going. In times of collective hardship, wars, pandemics, injustice, we've seen communities rise, not by ignoring pain, but by facing it together. When we struggle as one, we begin to hope as one. That shared hope becomes the fuel for movements, for change, for healing. So when life is hard, and it will be, don't hide from the struggle. Let it teach you, let it shape your courage, and most of all, let it grow your hope. Because to be hopeful is not to be naive, it is to be brave. Hope is not the absence of struggle. Hope is because of struggle. What is hope, really? In everyday conversation, we treat it casually. We hope it doesn't rain. We hope to pass the test. We hope things just work out. But the kind of hope I want to talk about, the kind that changes lives and moves people forward, is something far more profound. Hope, in its truest form, does not exist in isolation from pain. It is not simply wishing for the best or denying the existence of hardship. Hope is not blind. It sees everything clearly, every difficulty, every setback, every ounce of pressure, and still dares to believe in possibility. Hope lives side by side with struggle. In fact, it cannot exist without it. Think about it. When everything in life is going smoothly, when the path ahead is free of obstacles, we don't need to hope, we simply expect. But when the road becomes uncertain, when the future feels fragile or broken, that's when hope becomes essential. It steps in as a response to what's hard. It isn't a luxury we turn to when we're comfortable. It's a necessity we cling to when we're not. So hope is not naive. It is not a denial of reality. It is not turning your face away from injustice, pain, or fear. It is instead a decision to look those things in the eye and say, even now, I believe there's more. Even now, I choose to keep going. This is what makes hope powerful. It doesn't shield us from the world's suffering. It arms us to meet it. It gives us breath when we're gasping, direction when we're lost, and courage when we're afraid. Hope doesn't mean we don't cry or break or doubt. It means we refuse to stay in those places. We keep moving, wounded, maybe, but forward. And here's the paradox. The more we struggle, the deeper our capacity for hope becomes. It is born not out of ease, but out of experience. The person who has fallen and risen again is more hopeful than the one who's never been tested. Why? Because they've seen what they can survive. They've lived through pain and still found reasons to believe. So when we talk about being hopeful, we must understand it in this deeper way. Not as wishful thinking, but as hard-won conviction, as something forged, not granted. Hope that is not touched by struggle isn't really hope at all. It's comfort in disguise. But hope that has been shaped in the fire of adversity, that is the kind of hope that can change a life, a family, even a world. To understand hope, we have to first understand struggle, not just as a word, but as a lived experience. Because it is within struggle that the seed of hope is planted. Without struggle, hope has no context. Without difficulty, there is nothing to hope for. When everything in life is predictable and secure, we're not hoping, we're simply expecting. There is a difference. Expectations come from a sense of entitlement or routine. I expect the sun to rise. I expect my efforts to be rewarded. I expect the system to work. But hope rises not from what we assume will happen, but from what we deeply desire to happen, even when everything around us suggests it might not. Struggle disrupts the comfortable flow of life. It pushes us into spaces we didn't ask to be in, spaces of uncertainty, fear, or pain. These are the moments when our character is tested. And it is precisely in these uncomfortable, unwanted moments that hope begins to matter. Hope does not emerge fully formed in the absence of difficulty. It grows, inch by inch, in the soil of discomfort, injustice, loss, and hardship. It shows up in the heart of a person who has every reason to give up, and yet still chooses to believe in something better. Imagine the student who studies by candlelight, who walks miles just to attend school, who faces obstacles daily that others never even consider. That student's hope is not cheap. It is earned. It is shaped by struggle. Or think of the single parent working multiple jobs, carrying the weight of the world and still dreaming of a better life for their child. That dream is not born from ease. It is carved out of adversity. Struggle creates a vacuum, a space where despair wants to move in. But when we resist that despair, even slightly, even just enough to say, I won't give up, that's when hope enters. Not as a flood, but sometimes as a whisper. A whisper that says, there's still a reason. Keep going. There's something strangely transformative about struggle. It brings clarity. It shows us what we truly value, what we are willing to fight for. It strips away the unnecessary and forces us to focus on what matters most. And in that narrowing of focus, in that sharpening of purpose, hope takes form. The truth is, most people don't find their strength in peaceful seasons. They find it when they're under pressure. They discover who they are when things go wrong. And that's also when they discover what hope really is. Not a fragile wish, but a powerful force that emerges precisely because things are hard. So let's not think of struggle as the opposite of hope. Let's not imagine that difficulty blocks the light. No, struggle is the place where hope is born. It is the furnace that tempers it. It is the teacher that deepens it. Resilience and hope are not two separate forces. They are deeply, inseparably connected. One cannot truly exist in its full strength without the other. Resilience is the muscle, and hope is the heartbeat. Together they keep us standing, moving, believing. Resilience at its core is the ability to withstand adversity. It's what allows us to recover from failure, to adapt to unexpected pain, to face what is hard without losing ourselves. But here's what often goes unspoken. Resilience draws its power from hope. Without hope, without some belief that there is a purpose to our endurance, or that there is light somewhere at the end, resilience collapses under its own weight. You see, it's one thing to survive a hardship. Many people do. But to survive and still carry forward a sense of purpose, a sense of faith in the future, that's something more. That's when resilience becomes something greater than endurance. It becomes the act of living fully, even when life is heavy. And that is only possible when hope is present. Think about the people you consider strong, not the ones who've had it easy, but the ones who've been through things, loss, trauma, betrayal, hardship, and still carry warmth in their voices, still extend kindness, still try. That strength doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from a quiet, unshakable hope that the story isn't over, that something good can still come of it all. This is where resilience is so often misunderstood. It's not just about being tough. It's not about pretending we're unaffected. True resilience is not the absence of emotion. It's the ability to move forward through emotion. To grieve, to break, to stumble, and yet still return, still rise. And what gives us the will to return? Hope. Hope says, even after this, there's something worth showing up for. Resilience doesn't mean we never fall. It means we get up one more time than we fall. And every time we do, we're strengthening both our spirit and our capacity to hope again. We're proving to ourselves through action that we can survive difficulty. And with that proof, becomes more than just an idea. It becomes something we've lived. The relationship between hope and resilience is cyclical. The more we endure, the more we discover our own strength. And the more we trust in our strength, the more hopeful we become. Each feeds the other. And over time, both deepen, not through ease, but through experience. This is why we must never underestimate the power of people who've been through hardship and yet still choose to be hopeful. They are not naive, they are not lucky, they are resilient. And in that resilience lies a hope that is not breakable. A hope that has roots. One of the greatest misunderstandings about hope is that it is something we feel naturally, like happiness or excitement, that it just shows up when things look promising. But real hope, the kind that lasts and lifts us, is not a passive emotion. Hope is a choice. It is a deliberate decision we make, especially when things give us every reason not to. There's a difference between feeling hopeful and choosing hope. Feelings come and go. They are shaped by our circumstances, by the weather, by the news, by how our day is going. But choice is rooted in will. Choice is what remains when our feelings are exhausted. And that's where the power of hope lies. Because sometimes we don't feel like hoping, we feel tired. We feel overwhelmed, we feel like giving into the fear, the numbness, the disappointment. And in those moments, hope is not something that floats into our hearts on its own. It is something we reach for, sometimes with shaking hands, sometimes through tears, sometimes when we don't even fully believe in it yet. Choosing hope is not pretending everything is fine. It's not ignoring pain or masking fear with fake positivity. Choosing hope means acknowledging the full weight of the struggle and still refusing to surrender to despair. It is the quiet, defiant act of saying, this is hard. This is painful. This may not change today, but I will not give up believing that it can. I will not give up believing that something better is still possible. And that choice, that is not weakness, that is strength. Every time someone gets up in the morning, despite the grief, the pressure, or the fear, that is a choice rooted in hope. Every time someone speaks up, keeps showing up, refuses to quit, that is not because life is easy. It is because hope has been chosen again. Hope doesn't eliminate hardship, but it gives us the courage to face it. It gives us the motivation to keep trying, to keep building, to keep healing. Without hope, we are left with only what is the pain, the injustice, the brokenness. But when we choose hope, we introduce what could be. We take a step toward the possible, even when the present seems impossible. And here's something we must understand deeply. Choosing hope doesn't mean you'll feel instantly better. It doesn't guarantee that things will change overnight. But it changes you. It shifts the posture of your heart. It opens you up to resilience, to purpose, to growth. Hope, when chosen again and again, becomes a way of life, a lens through which we begin to see not just obstacles, but opportunities. Not just endings, but new beginnings. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens because someone somewhere made the brave decision, I will not give in to despair. Not today, not yet. There is a powerful difference between fantasy and hope. Fantasy is disconnected from responsibility. It's a longing for change without the willingness to be part of it. Hope, on the other hand, demands participation. It says, yes, the mountain is steep. Yes, the night is long, but I will climb. I will walk. I will act because I believe the journey is worth it. Hope challenges us to become accountable, not just for ourselves, but for others. It invites us to imagine what could be and then calls us to help build it. It is not a retreat into comfort. It is a movement toward purpose. Whether it's rebuilding a broken system, healing a fractured relationship, or fighting for a world that treats people with dignity, hope provides the blueprint and action lays the bricks. And here's what makes hope so powerful. It doesn't require certainty. You don't have to be sure that you'll win. You don't have to know how every detail will unfold. You just have to believe that your effort matters, that your voice counts, that your presence changes the equation. Hope gives you the strength to act even when the outcome is unclear, because it trusts that something better is possible and that you have a role in shaping it. This is what makes hope dangerous to those who benefit from the status quo, because hopeful people don't settle, they don't stay quiet. They don't stop trying. Hopeful people ask questions, demand better, and refuse to give in to despair. And when they come together, armed not with weapons, but with vision, purpose, and determination, change becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Hope is not a hiding place. It is a starting point. A launch pad, a reason to rise. It is what gives us the courage to begin again and again. It transforms victims into survivors, bystanders into allies, dreamers into doers. It turns pain into power and despair into defiance. So let's stop treating hope like a gentle whisper. It is a battle cry. It is a hammer in the hand of those who build. It is a light carried by those who walk into the unknown, not because they are unafraid, but because they are unwilling to stand still in darkness. So yes, hope is a function of struggle. It is not something handed to us when life is easy. It is something we forge when life is not. It is born in the dark, in the pressure, in the pain, and still it rises. Hope does not mean ignoring what is broken. It means choosing to believe in what can be healed. It means showing up not because the path is clear, but because the journey is worth it. It is a daily, defiant act of will, a declaration that says, I will not let this be the end. I will not accept despair as the final word. We hope not because we are untouched by struggle, but because we are shaped by it. And in that shaping, we discover something powerful, the ability to move forward anyway, to hold on anyway, to rise anyway. Let us not wait for hope to come to us. Let us be the ones who choose it, carry it, and share it, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because the world does not change by ease. It changes when people choose hope in the face of struggle and act with it in their hands.